Hello, Watem here, and welcome back to some more Higurashi When They Cry. Let's continue.
高野くんは昔から一途で熱心な男での。だが人付き合いが下手くそでな。ずっと一人で研究してきたのだ。だが一人でできる限界を迎え、ようやく人に助けを求めることを覚えたんだな。どうか先生方、高野くんの話に耳を傾けてやってください。
恐れ多いですよ先生。むしろこの度のご縁にこちらが感謝したいくらいです。
私どもとしてはもう協力させていただくことは前提です。むしろ学会での縄張り調整の方が今後の急務ですな。
They're all talking so happily, but from the background we can hear all the sad music, so we already know what's going to happen here.
このようなユニークな研究を世界に先駆けて研究できるとは。
I mean, besides the fact that we've already been told what's going to happen, but still.
この年になってこのような貴重な幸運に恵まれたのを感謝したいです。
There was a knock on the door. The sliding door opened, and the owner peeked in.
失礼いたします。お客様がお見えになっておりますが、お通ししてよろしいでしょうか。
客？はて、どちら様ですかの？
The owner whispered into Koizumi's ear, and his face turned pale all of a sudden.
お通ししてください。いや、私もお迎えに上がります。
As Koizumi stood up, 2 pairs of footsteps reached the door.
先生、このようなところへお越しいただけるとは。
小泉君、ご無沙汰だな。今日はちとどうしても君にしておきたい話があってな。
このようなところへお越しいただけるとは。はい、体温ある先生の話とあっては聞かぬわけには参りません。何でもおっしゃってください。
The old man, known as Koizumi, was not someone whose status could be taken lightly. Although he had retired, he was still powerful enough to wield great influence as a fixer. So, from his meek attitude, it was easy to figure out what kind of person this man must be. The old man held onto his bodyguard's shoulders as he walked. He had an expensive-looking cane in his other hand. He couldn't even walk on his own benefit because of his old age. What? What I said made no sense. He couldn't even walk on his own because of his old age. I have no idea how he got benefit out of because, but in any case, but his intense, commanding presence hadn't declined one bit.
単刀直入に言う。君の友人の研究な。あれ、やめさせなさい。
は？と申しますと。
小泉君、ひなみ沢症候群は墓場まで持ってかなきゃならん。あれに手をつけちゃならねえんだ。あれを調べるとな、藪をつついて蛇を出すかもしれん。しかも太くてでかい蛇をな。君がこのままガブリとやられるのを黙って見とるには忍びないのでな。ちょいと君の小耳に入れてやろうと思って今日は来たんだ。連れの先生方にはお待ちいただいて。どうだ、ちょいと向こうの部屋でわしと飲まんか。
はい、お供させていただきます。
No. Koizumi realized that he was being pressured. He didn't know which direction it was coming from, but clearly some authorities weren't comfortable with the research on Hinamizawa syndrome and were trying to stop him from supporting it.
小泉君、わかっているかね？この研究はパンドラの箱だということを。
So what, we're now going to implicate Hinamizawa syndrome in the Marco Polo Bridge incident? That would actually make too much
全くの
sense.
世まいごとですな。 本日私どもがお邪魔したのは、資料になかったそれ以上の客観的何かが開示されるかもしれないことを期待したからです。
You say that, but you came there with your decision already made, so yeah.
本来ならば本日お邪魔するにも値しない内容だったのを、小泉先生たっての願いということで義理を尽くさせていただいたまでです。
徒労ではありましたが、来て正解でした。あなたに適切なアドバイスをすることができるのですから。
You weren't.
あなたは余生をこんなことに費やされるくらいなら、盆栽でも始めなさい。いいですぞ、盆栽は。
同感です。こんな書斎にホルマリンの瓶を並べていても不健康なだけですな。
しかし実にユニークな内容でした。あなたさえ良ければ出版社の社長を紹介しますよ。大衆にはこのくらいの刺激があった方がウケるでしょうからな。
Are you sure you should be suggesting that? They aren't even trying to hide their hostility. They're laughing at my grandfather, denouncing him, and saying things to denigrate not only his research, but his personality as well. They are simply trying to provoke him. Any response will be giving them what they want. Even in this very moment, grandfather tried to remain a noble researcher and a proud human being. He's no longer trembling. On the contrary, he apologized to them for taking up their time, and told them he had no intention of keeping them any longer.
この論文はお返ししますよ。もっともこれを論文と呼んでいいなら、学会もどれだけ気楽なことか。
One of the elderly gentlemen tossed it back to him. Grandfather couldn't catch it in time. The article he worked so hard on fell onto the floor, and the paper scattered all over on the carpet. The elderly gentleman left the study without even apologizing for it. Everyone else followed suit. I say left. They trod all over my grandfather's article. Looked like grandfather's expression didn't change, but I could see it warping. I could see the wall of research grandfather bore, crunching, warping sadly. I jumped. I grabbed onto the elderly gentleman's leg. I don't hate him. If I were asked if I hated him or not, the answer would be yes. But that's not the point here. Uh-huh. Okay. What I really can't stand is his foot stepping all over my grandfather's article. I just want to move the foot that's standing on his papers. Just wondering, was it Koizumi that ended up helping Takano earlier on in the prologue kind of thing? But the foot doesn't move, no matter how hard I push or pull, as if it's rooted to the floor. I felt someone grabbing me from behind. It was my grandfather.
孫が失礼をいたしました。さあどうぞこのままで結構ですので、後片付けは私どもの方でしますので。
My screams don't mean a thing to them. They completely ignored my screams. They continued to step on the papers and left the study, trampling all over his hard work. Literally. Bad puns aside, only my grandfather and I remain in there now. My grandfather is still grabbing the back of my collar. I don't have any words left to say, only cries. My grandfather is determined not to show any emotion. He doesn't even open his mouth. So I have to cry for him. Just then, my grandfather slapped me in the face. That startled me. I'm crying for him, so why did he slap me? Then I understand. Grandfather is the one who wants to cry, but he's enduring, so I shouldn't cry either. I wiped my eyes and my runny nose, and I silently turned my eyes to the papers on the carpet, just like my grandfather.
ごめんな、ミオ。
I don't understand why he's apologizing. I thought he was going to complain about their weakness.
もっと私がしっかり研究できていれば、こんなことにはならなかったの。
Nope, it still would have happened.
せっかく今日までミオがあれだけお手伝いをしてくれたのに、それを無駄にしてしまって、ごめんな。
How courageous he is. Even after that disaster, he's still concerned about me. I shook my head and put my hands on the floor. I tried to gather up the papers, but then they began to fall. My tears are overflowing again, blurring the ink on the papers. These are all handwritten by Grandfather. He was so happy that there was finally someone who understood his research. He was so happy. He spent all night writing these. If I stepped on them, he might as well have stepped on my grandfather's very soul.
私の研究がまだまだ足りなかったんだ。もっともっと研究を重ねていたなら、こんなことにはならなかったんだ。ごめんな。本当にごめんな。おじいちゃんはもっともっと研究を重ねるからな。これくらいのことじゃくじけないからな。
Don't know if he's saying that to me or to himself.
大丈夫。神様は見ておられる。そして自分が評価されることを疑ってはならんのだ。いつか必ずきっと評価されるから。その日まで努力を怠ってはならんのだ。
Grandfather says that all the time. But I know the truth. God only plays with people's fate. He doesn't save anyone out of goodwill. That's why he let this happen to my grandfather, even though he's worked so hard and so humbly until today. That's why he let such a horrible thing happen to me when I was still an innocent little girl. Grandfather keeps repeating himself. But I know the truth. God exists. Existence Grandfather believes in is real. There is no mercy to be found in God. He delivers unreasonable fates and makes us all call it a challenge. I can't tell my grandfather that, of course. I asked God once more, like I did on the day of a thunderstorm. Why? Why can't you give my grandfather's efforts and hard work the recognition it deserves? Grandfather told me that he would gather up the papers, so I should put away the teacups. I nodded silently, and put the teacups that hadn't been touched onto the serving cart. Really? Not even touching the tea? I'm actually kind of surprised. As I pushed it out of the study, Grandfather told me. He told me to close the door after I leave. I always close the door when I leave. He doesn't need to remind me. That's what he wants, so without saying anything, I closed the door. Then, as I walked away from the study, I heard my grandfather sobbing. Tears filled my eyes once more. Sadness and disappointment. I almost feel angry with myself for not being able to do anything for him. Then I felt a cool breeze on my wet cheeks. The breeze was blowing in from a cracked open window. The curtain was flapping gently in that breeze. I heard the cry of a Higurashi. As I listened to them, I calmed down gradually. If I can ease Grandfather's pain by crying, I'll cry in his place. But that won't help. On the contrary, he started to cry because I did. I'm being useless here. I remember that day. I remember the reason why I'm alive now. If he hadn't come and saved me, I would have spent the last days of my life lying in the corner of the bathroom as a human-shaped piece of meat. Grandfather saved me. He gave me back my rights. The right to walk, the right to stand up, the right to wear clothes, the right to eat, the right to speak, nor the right to think. In other words, the right to live as a human being. Grandfather took action right after he got the phone call from me. He found my house, and he found out which orphanage I was sent to after struggling through the sloppily filed records of the public office. Then he saved me. Of course, he was working on his research then. He spent his precious research time on saving me, a perfect stranger. I vowed that if his heart failed, I'd rip my heart out and give it to him. But of course, his heart is fine, so he doesn't need a heart. He needs something else that is equally important. Something only I can give him in this whole world. I clenched my fist. Fists. And held them so tightly that my nails left marks. Well, I now know what I'm supposed to do with this new life as Mio Takano. I finally know. I know the reason why the new me was born. I know the purpose of Mio Takano.
それは小さな胸に宿る大きな決意。人の命がもしも地球より重いなら、私の小さな決意は地球よりも重い。
I have to say, I timed the music drop at the perfect time. Completely by coincidence, but still. I thought I knew of my grandfather's greatness, but I actually didn't know the half of it. For me to be able to really help him, I have to reach his level. All my lessons lead back to my grandfather. There wasn't a single subject I could ignore. Right now, studying hard is what I can do for him.
教師生活をして長いが、君ほどたゆみなく勉学に勤しんできた生徒は見たことがない。かといって決して勉強のみに視野が狭くなることなく、社交性も身につけ、多くの友人を作った。
Yes, from that she learned how important the social aspect of it is.
勤勉なのは勉強することでしか至れない私の目標があるからです。社交性をおろそかにしないのは孤独な天才があまりに無力であることを知っているからです。
Kind of feels weird, like how she seems to be approaching it, learning how to socialize from an academic point of view. It feels so weird. That's not enough.
私はまだまだ自分の望む姿に至れていないんです。大学に入るのなんて私にとっては単なる経過に過ぎない。そこで何が学べるかなんです。
I'm not even close. I'm not even close to being able to help my grandfather.
先生は君を教え子に持てたことを誇りに思う。私立大でも国立大の医学部でも好きに選びなさい。今の君にとって倍率など何の意味もない。君にとって学ぶに値する学校であるかどうかだけが大事だ。
願いを成就し望む未来を紡ぐ力。紡がれる糸の強さは意志の強さ。気高く強き願いは必ず現実となる。
Do I have what I need to be able to truly understand Hirasawa syndrome and help grandfather in his research? I don't need compromises or excuses. The heights I seek are lofty and precipitous. This isn't enough, not even close. My classmates are such idiots, acting as if they're winners in life just because they entered this school. College is simply a place to learn what I need to know. If this self-proclaimed best school isn't worth my time, I'm not interested.
まさか妻女のあなたが伝染病圏に来られるとは思いませんでした。あなたほどの方なら引っ張りだこだったでしょうに。てっきりもっと見栄えのいい研究に関心を寄せられると思っていました。
私が学びたいこと、研究したいことが伝染病だからです。私は今日 ここで学べる資格を得るために勉学に勤しんできました。
そんなことはありませんよ。入学試験を第1位で突破したあなたを拒むはずもありません。ようこそ伝染病家に。嫌われがちな学問でね、研究者はまだまだ少ない。だから他の学問に比べて未知の分野が多いのです。
There's also a lot of that isn't known about the brain, but that's because it's kind of hard to study ethically. Well, you can study a dead brain, but then you can't actually study it, like, how it works. You can study the structure of it all. I am just going to keep going. That's quite true. The study of parasites is a mysterious world. Or rather, it's an ignorant one. An ignorant world with a preconception that parasites can't possibly control humans pervades. And those ignorant people laughed at grandfather and stepped all over his article.
伝染病の世界にはまだまだ解き明かされていない未知があります。私はそれを解くためにそれを解こうとする人の力になるためにここまでやってきたのです。
At this point in time, probably the 70s, I'd say, or maybe 60s. Yeah, this is probably around the era where a lot of big brain research was happening. I think the I mentioned the working memory of like a person who didn't have any long-term memory. I think that was the 50s. Or the dates wasn't really the part I was interested in when learning that, but yes. Anyway, continuing on.
実現の約束された願いはもはや願いとは呼ばない。それはつまりもはや運命。私が紡ぐのは運命。運命は個人だけじゃなく人を世界を支配する絶対の力。
Learning isn't enough for me. I have to be able to research with my grandfather. And so, I don't ignore the means to gain the help my grandfather couldn't get. Grandfather's research isn't complete just when it's finished being written on the desk. I need the help of plenty of people to present it to the world, so his great work will be praised by many. Why do I get the feeling that she gets infected by Hinozawa syndrome? That's why she then goes, oh, so to be able to have his work praised by many, we need a public demonstration of it, everyone going wild, mad. Yes. On the other hand, I was thinking that was already planned in advance, so maybe that doesn't work.
そうです。当会は大学院の首席卒業生のみに入会資格を与えている同窓会組織です。毎年7人の入会者のみしか認めておりませんので、一般的な同窓会組織と比べると小規模ですが、その
ような会へお誘いいただき、とても光栄です。私ごときでよろしければ、ぜひ末席を賜れればと思います。
いえいえ、あなたほどの実績と経歴をお持ちの方を末席などとんでも。先輩方もあなたを歓迎されるでしょう。会の名簿には現役大臣、高級官僚、大企業の社長や顧問などが名を連ねています。彼らはあなたを必要とし、あなたが必要とする協力を与えるでしょう。
小泉先生もこの会におられたのですね。私の祖父の親友だった方です。まさかここでまたご縁があるとは。
そうでしたか。きっと小泉先生もあなたの入会を歓迎されることでしょう。
An isolated genius is a useless one. People live in society. Society is made up of connections between people. Nobody can ignore that. I do my best as an individual, but To gain the power that can't be achieved as a mere individual, I have to rely on my connections in society. It's all for one purpose. My only wish is Mio Takano. Yes, I can't spare any effort.
私の絶対の意志が絶対の未来を紡ぎ出す。誰にも邪魔できない。誰にも覆せない。
Which is why Rika struggles and struggles.
サイコロの1なんて認めない。けなげな努力が偶然の事故だけで打ち消されるなんて認めない。
Now I wonder how many sides that die has rather.
すべてのサイコロを6にしてやる。
I guess a six-sided die? Or at least a six-sided die. Actually, technically you could have a four-sided die where one of the sides is 1 and one of the sides is 6. Why you do that, I don't know, but in any case.
サイコロを神になんか委ねない。不運になんか委ねない。
Thinking of D&D and stuff in that respect, I think something like Goblin Slayer, like in some of the narrated stuff, kind of like the narrator goes and says like it's basically D&D, but Goblin Slayer refuses to like participates in the dice rolls or something, kind of like this.
神に祈るのは自らに努力を尽くさぬ愚か者のすることだ。私は神などに委ねない。私の強固な意志が神にさえ介在できない絶対の未来を作り出す。それは祖父が教えてくれた神になる方法とは違う。それは生きながらにして神に至る方法。それに気づいた時、私はようやく解放される。それは両親を失った時の悲しい記憶、そして論文を踏みにじられた時に見せた祖父の涙。そう、私は神の域を超えるのだ。神の気まぐれなどに負けない存在に。祖父の研究を認めさせてやる。それは私が望む未来、約束された未来。人々が祖父の論文を奪い合って読み合う。かつてないがしろにされ踏みにじられたその論文をうやうやしく手に取って読むのだ。たとえその日を待たずに祖父に死が訪れたとしても、その程度の運命に私が泣くことなどないのだ。だって祖父はすでに私に教え、たとえ死んで土中に埋められた身であっても復活できることを。私が祖父の偉業を完成させ、世界中が祖父を称える。その時祖父は復活を遂げ、神となり永遠となる。それは永遠の絆。どんな交通事故でもちぎれない。神がいくらサイコロの1を並べようとも。両親を事故で失った日から私の人生はすべてサイコロの1だった。でも私はそれに負けずここまでやってきた。サイコロの目など私は超越する。サイコロの目は私が決める。運命すらも私が決める。くじけぬ絶対の意志で。
診療所はいつ開くんかいね。クーラーがついてるとええの。来月にゃ診療開始っちゅ書いてあった。すったら若い先生だと
I heard some old ladies talking amongst themselves when I was growing up. The stairs to a shrine. The area clinic is already completed. and it's waiting and ready for opening day. The state-of-the-art equipment has been delivered, and research is waiting to begin as well. Hideo too is standing by in top form, and he's almost as passionate as I am about Hinamazawa syndrome. The mountain dogs, counterintelligent units to support and protect our research, are already stationed at a Thummi company somewhere near Okunomiya. They're getting in touch with various public institutions. Everything is going well. The only thing to worry about would be the rumors about the Hinamazawa Dam construction plans. Oh! I just had a thought. You know how it's how the Sonozaki family claimed responsibility for the kidnapping of the Ministry of Construction's head's son, but didn't actually have any part of it? What if it's the mountain dogs that did it, pretending to be them? They'd have the means to do it. They'd have the motive to be able to keep Hinamazawa around. Why have I only just realised this? On that note, I'll end it here for today. I hope you all enjoy. Let me know any feedback you have in the comments. Until next time, see ya.